to speak after this very brilliant presentation, and I'm really sorry I have no video, no funny things to show to you today, so I just have to speak and you will just have to listen. So sorry. As you said, I'm Florence Borgne, and it's difficult to pronounce when you are not a French speaker. I work for IDATE, which is a French consultancy company specialized on media, telecom, and internet, and I cover more specifically the TV and video services and markets. Today, I just wanted to share with you some thoughts about TV broadcasters and how they face the rapid booming of OTT consumption, either trying to take advantage of it and being proactive, or suffering from this harsh competition and adopting a more defensive positioning. To begin with, I just would like to remind you of the major changes impacting the audiovisual industry. First of all, the massive changes in consumption habits. Linear video consumption decreases in almost all TV markets, quite slightly in a vast majority of countries, but steadily in some others, as in the UK. In some markets, like in the US, the number of pay TV subscribers is decreasing, or people are migrating from premium offerings to access offerings, far less expensive for the users, but less profitable for the pay TV packages. On the other hand, non-linear usage is booming, particularly among younger consumers who are increasingly abandoning family TV in favor of the internet and new non-linear services, either developed by new OTT players or by the TV broadcasters themselves. Of course, these changes in consumption patterns are very closely linked to two major developments: the rapid adoption of the so-called companion screens or second screens, especially smartphones and tablets, as mentioned previously, and the deployment of broadband access, either fixed or mobile, and their availability at affordable prices to the mass market. All these changes in consumption, equipment, and competition already have visible impacts on television revenues. Advertising and subscription revenues are both stagnating and even declining in some mature markets, when at the same time revenues from OTT services are soaring. Even if the amounts generated are still modest, the growth is clearly on the OTT side, and their proportion should start to be significant by 2020. Traditional TV broadcasters now find themselves in a totally new landscape in which the competition, screens, and even consumers have changed, and where the usual business models are under threat. They now have no other choice than to evolve. All major audiovisual groups have therefore developed, either voluntarily or forced through competition, an OTT positioning strategy. Approaches vary according to the players. All of them now offer catch-up TV services, possibly including the ability to access a simulcast of their linear channels. Not many offer transactional video on-demand services, either focusing on their own content, like BBC, for example, or broadening to larger catalogs, like France Télévisions in France or ProSiebenSat.1 in Germany with Max Dome. Many broadcasters developed monthly subscription services, but with widely varying types of services. General interest SVOD services, like ProSiebenSat.1 with Max Dome in Germany, like Canal Plus with Canal Play in France, or special interest SVOD services, such as in France TF1 with Tifo Max, its dedicated services to kids, or the soon-to-be-launched services from France Télévisions, which should concentrate on French and European creation, but maybe the boundary between general and special interest might be blurred in this case. You have also OTT versions of premium channels in a third option, with in particular HBO Now, Showtime, but also Now TV, or MyCanal in France, the new OTT offering from the French premium channel Canal+. Lastly, pay access to free-to-air linear channel live streaming is proposed by few broadcasters, like ProSieben or CBS. And last but not least, some broadcasters are developing an OTT strategy based on the creation of original content, and we have just seen that some can be very original, for an online distribution only, on top of the exploitation of their regular content. It's in particular the case in France with Canal+ and its Studio Bagel company, M6 with Golden Moustache, or ProSieben through Crazer. Even if, as you can observe on this slide, the positionings are quite different inside the same category, the objectives pursued by each category of broadcasters are quite similar, in fact. For public broadcasters, OTT is clearly a means to better exploit and better exhibit public service content, and finally to better fulfill their public service missions. France Télévisions will go a step further this summer with the launch of its subscription video on-demand service, which should reinforce the positioning of the France Télévisions, French public broadcaster, as the major player supporting independent European creation. For premium channels and pay TV providers, the objective is twofold: providing a better service to existing subscribers, thanks to their catch-up TV services in particular, and targeting non-TV subscribers with either live streaming and or on-demand offerings. Although this allows them to reach new consumers and generate additional subscriptions, it can also have a negative effect by convincing linear TV subscribers to abandon their traditional subscriptions and move to OTT services, which are usually much, much cheaper. Developing these standalone OTT services is not always a strategic priority for pay TV operators, but in some cases, like in France, for example, it is a necessary response to strong competitive pressure. Competition can thus force pay TV providers to opt for a potentially risky solution, the risk of cannibalizing their main linear offering, even if it's not always the case, as we have seen this morning, rather than leave the field open for Netflix or other major SVOD service. Commercial broadcasters seem to be torn between two objectives. Whereas some of them consider OTT as the mere extension of their linear activities, some others see in OTT a new opportunity for growth and explore a broad range of services, developing free and pay services, regular content, and new content formats. If all the major audiovisual groups have now integrated OTT into their strategic development, their approaches vary depending on what category they belong to and their competitive environment. Their strategic choices are thus a symptom of their market share, of the general development of their markets, of their confidence in the future, and their financial health. We thus identified four key categories of players. First of all, the proactive players, like Sky and ProSieben Sat.1, that typically are leading players in growing markets who have invested early in OTT with the goal of becoming major players in OTT and who have pursued an aggressive and comprehensive OTT strategy. At the other end of the scale, we have defensive players like Canal+, Disney, and to a lesser extent, HBO. They are major players, experiencing some difficulties in their traditional markets, and their primary goal is to try and protect their current positioning. OTT services they create are more a response to an external threat by avoiding competition or limiting its effect, rather than an enthusiastic choice. Their positioning can nevertheless include a wide range of activities, like Canal+, for example. Between these two extremes sit players pursuing a voluntary strategy with varying degrees of ambition. Examples include the French audiovisual groups active in the free-to-air television, both public and private, although France Télévisions and TF1 were relative latecomers to the internet. Both are now aiming to have a significant OTT presence through a wide range of free and paid services, which is quite rare for public services. They are exploiting their own linear programming, but not limiting themselves to just this content. M6 is demonstrating more limited ambition than its two competitors at the moment, but the group has historically been more innovative than its rivals. Finally, the fourth group includes players who have had an OTT presence for some time, but who are still limiting themselves to exploiting internal content. This is the positioning taken by the British and German public broadcasters, BBC, RRD and ZDF, but also commercial networks like ITV and CBS. They are well established in their core markets and are not experiencing any major crisis. Their OTT strategies are proactive to varying degrees. CBS strategies, in particular, is quite similar to Disney and HBO. Well, this analysis is only a very quick snapshot of the current situation. Unfortunately, it does not claim to draw conclusions about the future market success. Nevertheless, the interest of all players for OTT and independently of the different strategic positions demonstrates clearly that the OTT is seen as a major, if not unique, growth driver. The trial and error we are witnessing also demonstrates a lack of certainty, as to the exact form that these growth drivers will take. So, thank you very much for your attention and your patience. And I will try next year, maybe to come with more funny slides, just because I really apologize for these quite long talks. Thank you very much.